Hi everyone, welcome back. For those of you that celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, I hope that your celebrations and preparations are going well. My name is Jolene from Bookworm Adventure Girl. To those who are new, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today is the 6th episode of the Mondays with Margaret series, and we are going to be talking about this book, Procedures for Underground. I will put a picture of what this is supposed to look like. This is a second edition, so the cover has been taken off. I will show you what it would look like if it was still on it though. If you've been following along in the series, then you already know that we've been reading a lot of Margaret Atwood's poetry. And this is Atwood's 4th collection of poetry that she published. It has 44 poems in it. And I just want to say that I really appreciate some of the reflections that some of you have shared about Atwood's poetry. It has helped me see some of the poems in new ways, and that's one of the things that I really love about poetry. And thanks to some of my subscribers, I have some information and some announcements to make, and I will share those at the end of the video, so please stick around for that as well. Procedures for Underground was published in 1970, and it's only about 80 pages long. And as in some of the other poetry collections we've read, there's a lot of nature and imagery. In this one, though, there's 2 themes that I think are more pronounced than in the others, and that's the themes of dreams and death. And I also noticed, as in all of the other collections that we've read, that the theme of drowning occurs here too a few times. So Atwood also writes about Canada, which isn't surprising, and this collection includes poems about Alberta, Quebec, BC, and Ontario. The theme of death makes sense, since Atwood has in other poems talked about the underground. For example, in her poems about Susanna Moodie, she talks about after her death, and she's also talked about animals and vegetables and roots being underground in some of the poetry that we've read. I've been reflecting more on the underground after reading this, and there is something fascinating about thinking about that. I was thinking about tunnels that go underground and people who work in mines and things like that. So there's something like almost otherworldly about it. The theme of death was a bit startling to me in 2 of the poems. In the poem Game After Supper, it says, "I am hiding in the long grass with my 2 dead cousins, the membrane grown already across their throats." Now in this one, with its context, I took it to mean the kids were playing dead and they were waiting for an adult to come and find them. But the one I'm not so sure about is the poem called Midwinter Pre-Solstice. There is a verse that says, "All night my gentle husband sits alone in the corner of a gray arena, guarding a paper bag which holds turnips and apples and my head, the eyes closed." If you've read this poem, I would love to know what you think of it, because I can't figure out what it means. I'd really like to know your thoughts on that. The book is divided into 3 sections, and the poem from the first section that I'd like to read to you is called A Dialogue. "My sister and I share the same place of recurring dreams. The lake, the island, the glacier-smoothed rock, the bay with low ground, spruce, and cedar. Though because we were born in different years, we seldom see each other. She says it is a swamp at night. She is trying to get away. Her feet won't move. She is afraid of the things that live under the water. For me, it is clear day, so bright the green pierces, but in the distance I hear a motor, a chainsaw. The invaders are coming nearer. I passed her at evening. She was running, her arms outstretched. In front of her, I called but couldn't wake her. She watched me sinking among the reeds and lily pads. I was smiling. I didn't notice as the dark lake slipped over my head. We talk about this in calm voices, sitting at the kitchen table. She is examining her bitten hands, finger by finger. I draw with a pencil, covering the page with triangles and gray geometrical flowers. I really liked that one because it kind of made me think of how people can experience the same things but understand them differently. And of course the theme of drowning in this one when she talks about the dark lake slipped over my head. In Interview with a Tourist, the last two lines are also about drowning, and it says, "Now this country is underwater. We can love only the drowned." And the might not be the very last, but one of the last poems called Chrysanthemums, the same thing, the last few lines. "As brilliant images the eyes are said to see the instant before drowning." So I just think it's interesting that every single collection of poetry that we have read so far has that theme in it. The title poem ends the first section, so I want to read that to you as well. Obviously it's called Procedures for Underground, and then it says Northwest Coast. Now my assumption is that it's Northwest Coast of Canada, I'm guessing. I don't know. Which would either be British Columbia or the Yukon. "The country beneath the earth has a green sun, and the rivers flow backwards. The trees and rocks are the same as they are here, but shifted. Those who live there are always hungry. From them you can learn wisdom and great power if you can descend and return safely. You must look for tunnels, animal burrows, or the cave in the sea, guarded by the stone man. When you are down, you will find those who were once your friends, but they will be changed and dangerous. Resist them. Be careful never to eat their food. Afterwards, if you live, you will be able to see them when they prowl as winds, as thin sounds in our village. You will tell us their names, what they want, who has made them angry by forgetting them. For this gift, as for all gifts, you must suffer. Those from the underland will be always with you, whispering their complaints, beckoning you back down. While among us here, you will walk wrapped in an invisible cloak. Few will seek your help with love, none without fear." So I don't know exactly what Atwood was trying to say here, but at first I thought it had something to do with our descendants and those who have gone before us, and how they still live within us. But it has kind of an eerie feel to it, talking about that they're dangerous and, you know, not to eat their food and that they will be beckoning you. So I'm not sure, but I would be happy to hear what your thoughts are about this one. The poem that I want to talk about in the second section is called "The End of the World, Weekend Near Toronto." This poem made sense to me because if you have ever been stuck in traffic in and or around Toronto, you will completely understand as well. This is the way it begins. The countryside almost flat, stretching away from the 4-lane highway. Everything green, except for certain trees which have hardened and stand gray and fixed in the shapes life gave them, fossil veins, dead lungs. The cars are lined up, edging slowly on the north lanes. The windshields glitter. It is the city moving. The drivers intent on getting out, getting away from something they carry always with them. A hand comes out of a window and throws away an apple core. The sun shines down on 2 cars which have collided at a turnoff and rest quietly on their sides, and on some cows which have come over, nudge each other aside at the fence, and stare. The people in the passing cars stare too. Out of the blue sky and the white clouds, something is falling, falling gently on them like invisible rain, or a blessing. What I really like about this is how she describes that 4-lane of highway, which could be the 401, it could be a number of different highways. It's so congested, and then of course as soon as there's an accident, which she's describing here, it makes it even worse, and everybody's at a standstill, you know, and people act like it's the end of the world, but that might actually be the end of the world for those people in the accident. And I like how she included the animals, and that there was something falling, and so the blessing could be that these people are okay. The last poem that I want to read is called Dreams of the Animals. And again, this poem shows Atwood's desire to talk about nature and the environment, and how humans are playing a role in harming and basically destroying it. So it's dreams of the animals. Mostly the animals dream of other animals, each according to its kind. Though certain mice and small rodents have nightmares of a huge pink shape with 5 claws descending. Moles dream of darkness and delicate mole smells. Frogs dream of green and golden frogs, sparkling like wet suns among the lilies. Red and black striped fish, their eyes open, have red and black striped dreams, defense, attack, meaningful patterns. Birds dream of territories, enclosed by singing. Sometimes the animals dream of evil in the form of soap and metal, but mostly the animals dream of other animals. There are exceptions. The silver fox in the roadside zoo dreams of digging out and of baby foxes, their necks bitten. The caged armadillo near the train station, which runs all day in figure eights, its piglet feet pattering, no longer dreams, but is insane when waking. The iguana in the pet shop window on St. Catherine Street, crested, royal-eyed, ruling its kingdom of water dish and sawdust, dreams of sawdust. And I thought that was going to be the last one, but I think I'm going to share one more that I was thinking about while I was reading that one. It's near the end of the collection, and it's called Women Skating. And when I was reading this, of course, I've been preparing for Christmas and putting out decorations, and our tree is up. And when I was reading this, I had a really neat experience. So it's called Women Skating. A lake sunken among cedar and black spruce hills, late afternoon. On the ice, a woman skating, jacket sudden, red against the white, concentrating on moving in perfect circles. Actually, she is my mother. She is over at the outdoor skating rink near the cemetery. On 3 sides of her, there are streets of brown brick houses. Cars go by. On the 4th side is the park building. The snow banked around the rink is gray with soot. She never skates here. She's wearing a sweater and faded maroon earmuffs. She has taken off her gloves. Now near the horizon, the enlarged pink sun swings down. Soon it will be 0. With arms wide, the skater turns, leaving her breath like a diver's trail of bubbles. Seeing the ice as what it is, water. Seeing the months as they are, the years in sequence occurring underfoot. Watching the miniature human figure balanced on steel needles, those compasses floated in saucers. On time sustained, above time circling, miracle. Over all, I place a glass bell. So when I was reading this the first time, I was imagining myself actually near the ice and watching this woman skate, and then, you know, of course it goes and talks about how this is her mother. And when she talked about putting the glass bell over top of it, it was almost like I zoomed out, if you were like watching the movie and watching the scene, and I zoomed out and that became the decoration and putting that bell over it. And it was what happens when we are putting out decorations is we always talk about what those decorations mean. Our decorations on our tree, every single one of them has a story and reminds us of different people and experiences that we've had. I have decorations from our travels or that people have made or that I made when I was very young. Some of them are quite old, those decorations. And I just think it was really neat that as I was reading this, it was like I was very close to it and thought I was experiencing it with the person, and then realized that actually I was quite removed. And this was like a miniature little scene that was in a memory. So it was a neat little experience that I had. I thought I would share that with you. So I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for following along. And as I said earlier, I love when you reach out, either here on YouTube, or some of you have direct messaged me. I've received some emails, or you're following along on Facebook or Instagram. I really appreciate the book and reading community. When I started this channel, I had no idea what to expect. And when I had over 6 subscribers, it meant that more than just people I knew were following along, and people were interested who weren't required by blood to pretend to be interested. So I really enjoyed getting to know some of you here, and I want to give a shout out to Christine. Christine has been following along with the Mondays with Margaret series, and last week I mentioned the poem about a son drowning, and I wondered if Susanna Moodie had actually had a son that drowned. So a big thank you to Christine, who let me know that yes, in fact she did. Her son was 5 years old and he slipped off of a dock and drowned. So I can only imagine how life-changing that experience must have been for Susanna Moodie. For me, there's no worse loss than a parent losing a child. So thanks again to Christine, and I wanted to pass that information on to all of you who are also following. And I also want to thank many of you who have already started following a group I began on GOODREADS. It's called Diverse Canadian Book Adventures, and it's going to focus on diverse Canadian literature. I will leave a link below to that group if you want to join us or to check it out. It's, by the time this video goes out, I don't even think it will be 24 hours old. And lastly, I want to give a shout out to my friends We Are Beautiful Words. We are going to be collaborating on Instagram with a follow train starting on Tuesday morning for about 48 hours. So if you want to be part of that, welcome to check that out. They are from the Windsor, Ontario area, so just a few hours from me and where a lot of my family members live. They are doing some great things, so I'm going to leave a link to a video of an interview that they did with some of my other friends with Canada Reads American Style, so you can learn more about them. And the last thing is for all of you who follow Canada Reads, the dates have been set for my birthday week, actually, so that was a nice early birthday gift. Canada Reads will take place March 8th to the 11th. We are still waiting for a long list, but hopefully that will come out soon, and I'm sure that I will be doing something for Canada Reads, and I will keep you posted on what that is when I know what that is. Please let me know if you had any favorite poems from Procedures for Underground, or maybe let me know how you're doing with your reading goals, if you set reading goals for 2020, or if you're setting any goals for 2021. We only have a few weeks left in the year, so thanks again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.